Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a very heated topic that's been popping up a lot throughout these past few days when it comes to the PlayStation 5, and if people are thinking that Sony is kind of self-sabotaging themselves by limiting all these brand new AAA games coming out to both of the consoles and not only making it a PlayStation 5 exclusive. We've had a lot of controversy when it comes to this. Some people are upset because they bought the PlayStation 5 just for these games. Some people on the PS4 are happy because, as you guys know, it's very hard to actually go and find the PlayStation 5 even still 6 months after launch. And there's just been overall a lot of kind of conversation thrown around for it because I want to make a video on this myself. So we have a lot of things to go and talk about, a lot of things to go and discuss. So if you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy. If any of you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, especially for the PS5 giveaway. Also use the Linktree link down below for bonus entries for the giveaway if you guys would like. We have the Amazon links down below for the controllers, consoles, warehouse consoles, restocks, and all of that. Twitter and Twitch stream as well, link down below. The Weeble, sign up for Weeble, deposit $100, and you guys go get $25 for free and free stocks. And then Coinbase, if you guys go buy $100 worth of any cryptocurrency, you guys go and get free Bitcoin. Those are always linked down below, like the video, and definitely for these types of videos, I always love seeing your thoughts down below. So as you kind of saw from this, we've had a lot of controversy throughout this past week or so, because we've noticed that Gran Turismo 7 is now going to be available on the PS4. God of War is also be available on the PS4, and as well, the brand new Horizon game is also going to be launching as well on the PS4. So with this, we've had a lot of people kind of discussing, is this good, is this bad, what do I think, etc. And overall, it's a very, very intriguing situation, because we are seeing like these very, very small rollouts, like we saw Demon Souls, we saw Ratchet and Clank now coming out very soon on the PS5 only. And now we're seeing even games even after we've kind of made that small transition on over to next-gen gaming with all these brand new games that are being announced. And we kind of touched on this in a previous video, but there are a lot of people upset because some people are thinking, why did I get my PS5 if all these games are still available on the PS4? But as well, on the other side, there are millions of people happy because they still have their PS4s and the PS5s have been kind of hard to come by. So let's go talk about why this is not maybe necessarily too much of a self-sabotage, why it's not that bad, and I would also, like I said, want to kind of give you guys my thoughts down below. We have a little article over here from Screen Rant I want to go talk about and use as a baseline for this. Let's go dive in the video itself. So, why are so many PS5 games also coming to the PS4? So I can answer this kind of pretty quickly for if you guys are not trying to waste your time too much, is that there is like 100 million PS4s and they're still being sold really actively. Like there's still like 1 million sales plus every month, even with the PS5 out. Because also don't forget there's also a lot of places like in India, China, etc. that are okay buying the PS4s on that slightly lower price point, or they just don't have any availability for anything as well. So just like whatever, I'm still down to go use my console. It may not be the best, but I mean, it's kind of like the same thing for people who maybe buy cheaper computers, laptops, phones, whatever. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. So there's just a massive market, first of all. So I think it's always kind of smart that Sony's okay investing so much money into these games. But I could also see the other side too as well, where people are upset because why did you spend so much money on this in the first place, you know? So, but anyway. So basically, Herman Holst, head of the PlayStation Studios, which we talked about the past few days or so, has revealed the reason why many PS5 exclusives have become cross-gen titles releasing on the PS4. Sony had explained why many of the original PS5 exclusives had become cross-gen, also releasing on the PS4. Originally, Sony had pushed the idea that it was focusing on the potential of the PS5 hardware with its games, which meant leaving the PS4 behind, which to me makes a lot of sense. Now, I know it's hard to still get a PS5, so that's why I'm okay with them still releasing games on the PS4, but I've talked about this in previous times on stream, on whatever, is that it does kind of stink because it does kind of seem like they are self-sabotaging a little bit for their next gen. But I just kind of feel like it's in that really awkward spot where a lot of people are getting their PS5s, but a lot of people are still waiting, so they can also release up games, and people on the PS4 probably still buy them, and a lot of these next-gen games actually have been developed with PS4 in mind as well, like Horizon and God of War. So it's not necessarily the world's worst thing that we're getting so many people on the PS4 able to buy these, but it definitely kind of makes sense that some people are upset because it's like, hey, I bought this thing and now I'm gonna have to wait 2 years when I could just waited for the PS4, you know what I mean? For them to be a little bit more obsolete. It's common for games to be cross-gen during the first few years of a new system's lifespan, which makes sense too. We saw that a lot even with like Nintendo Switch, where like Breath of the Wild was released on both consoles at the same time with the Wii U and Switch. It makes sense, we kind of get it. And as well, also apparently even Just Dance is still somehow trucking as of 2020, being the very last Nintendo Wii game, which is absolutely hilarious in all honesty that it's still going on, because that's at this point 3 generations before. It's like people still making games, you know, on the PS3, which does kind of somewhat happen. And also as well too, especially with all the like the movie tie-in games too, and games based on major sporting events to be released across as many platforms as possible, regardless of the age of the hardware. Which makes a lot of sense too, because if you have the market for it, you might as well go and release things out to them. You might as well go and sell stuff to them in the market. It's kind of like you can sell something to 110 million people or like 10 million people. You realistically, if you can make both happen, you're going to try to go have some wiggle room, even if it upsets people just a little bit as well. You guys doing that. So basically the jump from the PS3, Xbox 360 to PS4 and Xbox One also have a lot of titles that were also cross-gen at a later date, such as Dragon Age Inquisition, because basically a lot of the developers want to go reach as much of an audience as possible. So is this like bad? Like kind of like the title, like is it gonna be self-sabotaging or whatever? I'd personally say no. I think it's okay because they have so many millions of people still on the PS4, but I can definitely understand why people are upset, because if they keep on turning back from say like Gran Turismo 7, that was supposed to be a PS5 exclusive, and then like Jim Ryan being like a little bit on the middle end, being like, yeah, it was gonna be exclusive, but you know, I never gave you my official comment on it or whatever. I can see how people can lose a little bit of faith in Sony because they're just not being fully transparent, or they're kind of taking steps back. Now, I don't think it's necessarily bad if more people out there are playing games, like more people are available for it, and you do actually get benefits of using the PS5, like you get better frame rates, better loading, like, you know, the SSD, etc. But it does kind of stink because it just kind of seems like Sony keeps on backtracking and kind of changing their stances on things, and it kind of makes it harder for them to know exactly what they're trying to push out. And I do kind of feel like eventually they do have to make that full-on push, whether it's like a year from now, 2 years from now, to kind of be like, all right, the PS4 is a good console, but let's try to go and utilize the good PS5 technology. We want to make the games look beautiful and great. And that's why I'm kind of excited for Ratchet & Clank, because it does seem like it's utilizing all the hardware for the PS5, and it is delivering us something really good for, like, you know, next gen. Now, once again, I am a-okay with people on the PS4 playing games, and we definitely do have graphical advantages and loading advantages, as I mentioned, for the PS5, but it is kind of weird because at some point you do have to rip off the Band-Aid and go next gen, and I think a lot of people are waiting for that. So Sony also did heavily promote out some PS5 titles as exclusives during the presentations that took place before the console was released, and it really didn't take that long for Sony to backtrack, which is kind of why I'm saying that some people are upset, because they're just not inconsistent. With Horizon Forbidden West, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and Spider-Man Miles Morales becoming all cross-gen titles. So once again, whenever you bought your console on day one, all you kind of had was Demon's Souls for like a proper PS5 exclusive. Even I played on the PS4 on Miles Morales because I just didn't have my PS5 at the time. Miles Morales and Sackboy made sense, as those are already concerns about the PS5 stock shortages, and Sony wanted to make sure people buy those games as often as possible. But after a few more high-profile games become cross-gen titles, Sony offered a reason why the PS5 was losing exclusives. So basically, kind of what we were saying before is that the major focus on why it's not necessarily bad, but I do think that at some point they have to move on, is that just they have so many people on the PS4. Which again makes sense from like a business perspective. There didn't seem to be as much logic behind Sony's announcement of cross-gen versions of God of War 2 and Gran Turismo 7, as those games are not coming out until 2022, by which time there should be a much bigger PS5 audience. But when Herman Hulst, head of PlayStation Studios, broke the news about the cross-gen versions of the games in the PlayStation blog, he offered the explanations that there are over 110 million PS4 users in the world, and it doesn't make good business sense to leave them behind. Which I agree on. Like I said before a few times throughout this video, do you really want to be going and leaving out 100 million customers? Because if the game price is the same price, like $60, $70, if they're buying on the PS4 or PS5, you are still getting that same amount of money. So why would you want to leave around so many people behind? Now, granted, 110 million users are probably not going to be fully using the PS4, or using it in general. And as well, a lot of those people probably be slowly moving on over to the PS5 too. But it's kind of in that really awkward cycle where not everyone has a PS5 yet, so it's probably worth it just to milk it as best as they can. Like, it kind of makes sense to me. And as well, there also are some other nice games out there still, like Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, and Demon's Souls, but it does kind of seem like Sony for the next year or so will still be, you know, catering towards the PS4 people, which once again, I'm okay with that too, because I know how hard it is to get a PS5. And also, this is very intriguing from the earlier statements, and this is kind of why a lot of the drama keeps on kind of floating around. From Jim Ryan, basically he said that to Games Industry Biz, he believes in the dynamic of console generations and that companies should be creating games that make the most of the new console features. It's hard to argue with the logic of catering to the massive PS4 audience, but it does raise questions about how Sony is going to treat its exclusives going forward. if the company is keeping one eye on what can be achieved with the base PS4 model in 2013, then can current gen games really be designed to show off what the PS5 is capable of? And that last line right there is why there's so much drama in all this, because it does really seem like it is Sony kind of holding themselves back and somewhat self-sabotaging themselves because they want to go and cater to the big market, which is understandable, but they're just not fully making like the perfect game, the perfect engine, like the perfect like game that's utilizing every single bit of GPU, CPU, and power and making the game look phenomenal and making the game run like longer and bigger worlds and environments, because they're still kind of focusing on the PS4 and keeping that in mind. Now, once again, I am not against that because sometimes I know it's hard to buy it, afford it, get it in the first place, or maybe you have kids, or maybe just not a big enough gamer to justify a $500 purchase. I get it. But at least for the future, as I mentioned, at one point, Sony does have to rip off the Band-Aid and fully make that move to the PS5. And the fact that we have games coming out a year after the launch cycle, still heavily focused on the PS4, might be a problem. But I guess we'll see as time kind of goes on. But as of for now, I'm a-okay with it. I do not mind. And there's definitely gonna be benefits to using my PS5 on these consoles anyway, so it's not the biggest deal. But I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. Definitely like to hear your thoughts on this topic overall, because it's been floating around a lot throughout these past few days, as well as the Amazon links down below for the PS5 controllers, consoles, discs, and all that stuff. Make sure you guys are subbed with the notifications on for the giveaway, as well also for use the link tree for bonus entries. Twitter and Twitch link down below. The Weeble as well. Sign up for Weeble, deposit $100, and you guys go get free stock and free money. Go and basically, you guys go buy $100 worth of any cryptocurrency. You guys go and get free Bitcoin. Those are always linked down below. And thank you guys all so much for watching. You guys are all amazing. See you guys up later on throughout tonight for some more videos.